What's up, everybody? This is the Digital World Podcast coming at you live on a Sunday morning. Today, I want to talk about two things: World Economic Forum Central Bank Digital Currency Toolkit, and also the Vatican Council for Inclusive Capitalism Initiative. Now, these two things have some ties. Well, you'll see what I mean later once we get more into it, but there are some connections that I want to talk about, and I want to bring up some quotes and stuff and kind of discuss that a little further and bring up some questions to leave you thinking. Now, let's jump right into it. Now, the document from the Central Bank Digital Currency Toolkit that was created by the World Economic Forum is made for institutions, banks, central banks, and in order for them to get an idea on how to create a central bank digital currency. Now, sometimes, and shout out to all the influencers on YouTube and all the other people who post, new documents or post different questions on certain documents. Shout out to them for bringing this to the forefront and really talking about it and ingraining it in our heads. And I think it's important to kind of revise this. And one of the things that I thought was very intriguing to me was how in your face everything is, and sometimes we just sweep it under the rug or just forget it or disregard it. And I think here most relevant for household CBDC is what caught my attention was the cryptocurrency token XRP. Now that is uh, unbelievable, and based on what I know of the token XRP, is that it has real utility, real use cases, and the ties with the company Ripple are so deep. And the fact that they've been working with regulators since its inception means that they've been connected with people of power and who work upstairs, who control the strings. And I think sometimes people simply disregard that fact. And sometimes they might say, oh, it's a conspiracy. There's no way this, and that. It's too good to be true. But is it? Is it really? Now, the reason I bring up central bank digital currencies is also because we're in a current state of regulatory uncertainty. There's a lot of things that are happening that make you wonder and question where this is all going to go. And I think we all know where this is going to go. I think the world is going to go digital. And that's why we see such a rapid movement towards creating central bank digital currencies. Shout out to King Solomon also for finding this document that says that the Central Bank of France has openly discussed using XRP as a possible platform for Europe's central digital currency. Now that's huge, huge news. Now we see that this cryptocurrency XRP is being used or is being affiliated with many banks, and we know that central banks control everything. And I know there's a quote by Brad Garlinghouse that the governments and banks will, or the governments will bring out their guns and tanks before they give up their power. And a currency is basically a country's power, especially the U.S. and its dollar. It allows it to have worldwide power, and so that's why I think central bank digital currencies are really intriguing. It's coming, whether we like it or not. It's coming. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about was now transitioning into my point of the Council for Inclusive Capitalism was how interconnected um, these institutions are with this Council for Inclusive Capitalism. Now, what caught my eye was we know that Bank of America has ties with the company Ripple. In the Swell Conference, it was very subtly done, but we saw the Bank of America logo shown on the screen as one of the partners. Nothing was said about it, but it was very subtle. But we know that there was a patent for Bank of America to use distributed ledger technology. Now, also, I kind of want to show that this video, and if you'd like to see more about it, I'd encourage you to go watch it because it's very informative and will give you an idea of what these CEOs are saying about joining this council. Now, why would CEOs join a council for inclusive capitalism with the Vatican? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Why the Vatican? What kind of influence does it have on these companies? Now, these are questions that probably have much deeper ties than we may know. But I kind of want to scratch the surface and kind of dig a little deeper into this because I think sometimes we don't dig deep enough and or sometimes we just never hear a perspective before, and that's what I want to bring. I want to bring a different and a new perspective. Now, here's an article that I want to show, and this article is called "Big Companies Join Vatican Affiliate Council Pledging Inclusive Capitalism," and we see here the CEOs of Bank of America, uh, Johnson and Johnson, etc., and several other Fortune 500 companies. I know Mastercard was part of this as well, and Visa. They're joining the Council for Inclusive Capitalism with the Vatican. Okay, now they're operating under the moral guidance of Pope Francis. Okay, so it seems to me like there's some influence from the Vatican, or a major influence from the Vatican on these companies or banks. And I want to read two quotes here. The first one says, "An economic system that is fair, trustworthy, and capable of addressing the most profound challenges facing humanity and our planet is urgently needed," said Pope Francis. Now, we see that there's a whole climate agenda narrative that is going on right now, and we know that Bitcoin, for example, even though it's the most hyped coin out there, or shilled coin out there, and and it was for good reason. It was the first technology that came out, and um, also the mainstream media is really pushing it, and I think they're doing a good marketing job of it. But we know that doesn't work. Proof of work does not work, and all its energy consumption is not in accordance with this new climate agenda that's being pushed worldwide. And so it also brings up this point of, well, if we're facing, these profound problems on our planet, what I wonder what cryptocurrency would be most useful for that. What utility could be used to fix these issues. And I think that XRP is the answer. I really do. And so now we see that this council seems to be something that wants to bring about good for 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 all, right? And I think that if you look at it from the perspective of, okay, if we want to transform society, or the world, how could we do it in order to simplify their way of lives? And I think, and not my words, but the World Economic Forum has said we're entering the fourth industrial revolution, the digital age. And when you think about that, it's okay. Well, from that perspective, well, yeah, we could. Everyone has phones. Most of everyone has access to the internet in one way, shape, or form. Now, how can we simplify people's lives? Well, if you create a digital currency, well, now that gives access to everyone, or to make transactions online. If you have like a phone, or some kind of access to the internet, you can do your own transactions online. And I think that's most definitely where we're headed. And now I want to read a second quote here to kind of further expand on this point. And it says here, Our greatest challenge is to respond to global levels of injustice by promoting a local and even personal sense of responsibility so that no one is excluded from participating in society. I encourage you to seek ever more creative ways to transform our institutions and economic structures so that they may be able to respond to the needs of our day and be in service of the human person, especially those marginalized and discarded. So, expanding on my first point, they want to help facilitate um, or enable everyone's lives to become easier, to help them participate in society. And it's right here. That's what the Pope is saying. And I want to see creative ways to transform the economic structures. And what company and what token is being talked about more, well, not being talked about, but what company and token are encouraging transforming the economic and the financial structures? And that's Ripple and its token XRP. And I think that when it says to be in service of human person, especially those marginalized and discarded, well, Ripple's mission is bank the underbanked. That's one of the first uh, things they're trying to accomplish, because they focus on remittances. And so if you provide a way to get those people access, you now included them into the system, right? Now, here's a different perspective that I'm going to bring up, a different question. Why do we want to include everyone? Yes, it will improve people's lives because now they can do transactions on their phone. And if they live far away or don't have access to physical banks or the building to physical banks, how are they going to, be included in this system that we currently are in? But if we transform the current economic structure so that everyone can have access through their smart device, then there's no need for a physical building where there's a bank. Now people can just do all their transactions online, especially if we have a central bank digital currency. Now it facilitates that plan. Now, while, like I said, it does improve people's lives and allows them to participate, what about now that you have everyone participating, even those people who were once disregarded or marginalized? Now you have full control and you can see what people are doing, where people are at. It's becoming a fully um, controlled system, right? I mean, I'm asking the question here. I want to promote discussion and intellectual conversations. What is the agenda behind it all? Is there an underlying um, agenda that we aren't talking about? Now, I'm for improving the state of life of everyone, and I agree that digital assets will transform the way we do things in our lives completely. But is there, you know, a con to that? And I definitely think there is because, with the European Central Bank exploring negative interest rates, if we go digital, well, they can control. Well, if you don't spend your money by a certain amount of time, well, we're just gonna charge you interest on that money, and so you're losing money. So of course you want to uh, use that money now, keep it in the bank, and it incentivizes you to spend that money, and also allows them to control the velocity of money. Now, to end this discussion, I want to read some quotes from this book, The Keys of This Blood. Now, I think it contains a very, very interesting quote that I kind of see happening today. And this book was written in 1990, and the quote that I'm gonna read was from uh, Pope John Paul II and his speech that he gave at Yankee Stadium in front of thousands of people. I believe it was in the 70s. And here, the I'm gonna go ahead and read the whole quote, and then we're gonna go ahead and raise up some questions and end there. But I want to point out that in the title it says the struggle for world dominion between Pope John Paul II, Mikhail Gorbachev, and the capitalist West. Now, the quote states, willing or not, ready or not, we are all involved in an all out, no holds barred, three-way global competition. Most of us are not competitors, however. We are the stakes. For the competition is about who will establish the first one world system of government that has ever existed in the society of nations. It is about who will hold and wield the dual power of authority and control over each of us as individuals and over all of us together as a community. Over the entire 6 billion people expected by demographers to inhabit the earth by early in the third millennium. The competition is all out because, now that it has started, there is no way it can be reversed or called off. No holds are barred because, once the competition has been decided, the world and all that's in it, our way of life as individuals and as citizens of the nations, our families and our jobs, our trade and commerce and money, our educational systems and our religions and our cultures, even the badges of our national identity, which most us have always taken for granted, all will have been powerfully and radically altered forever. No one can be exempted from its effects. No sector of our lives will remain untouched. Wow, now that's a powerful statement. Now, some points here to point out. It says that this competition has started and there's no way it can be reversed or called off. And this was in the 70s when he said that. Now, he says that everything and the world and all that's in it, our lives, our jobs, as citizens of our nations, our families, trade and commerce and money, educational systems, religions, cultures, everything, even our national identity, will be powerfully and radically altered forever. No one is exempted, and all sectors of our lives will be transformed. Or it says specifically here, no sector of our lives will remain untouched. Now, what's happened? What just happened last year? This Black Swan event happened, and it completely transformed the way of life. Everyone's life was affected in one way, shape, or form, and it's currently still in transition. The old world that existed, that's gone and done away with. We're going forward, and you have to ask yourself. We see all these connections here that I just pointed out. What is happening? What is actually happening? I get that we want to include everyone and have them participate in this new system that's being formed. If you will, it's the new quantum financial system. We're not aware of it, but it's more than likely what's being developed. And if everyone's being included into it, even the marginalized and disregarded, now that creates control on every single person, doesn't it? Now, I'm raising the question here. I want to create an intellectual conversation. All we could do is collect the scraps that we are given and put them together and try to get a clear picture. But I'm really wondering, like, what are the purposes? And now I'm not marginalizing anyone. I'm just bringing information and facts that we have before us and piecing it together and trying to make sense of current events and everything that's happening. And I hope that it could kind of help you in your discovery of everything that is going on. And so I hope that you found value in today's podcast. This is the Digital World Podcast coming at you live. And I hope that this has been a very encouraging and perspective building podcast. I'll see you on the next episode. Have a good one.